My name is Donna Becker, and I'm from Rockaway Township, New Jersey. So I was a young mother with 3 children, and they were having some developmental and digestive issues. And I felt like I wasn't getting the answers that I needed. So I started to look into holistic wellness options, and we worked with a few different holistic practitioners, and I tried to learn all that I could about what I could do to help them. And when they were doing well and they were older, I actually studied holistic wellness and nutrition and wanted to help other people to learn that there's more out there than what they may have been told. And through that, I learned about NES Health Bioenergetics. So about 2 years into my practice as a holistic wellness practitioner, I discovered NES Health, and I loved it. I had studied biochemistry in school, and I loved learning about the body and and just understanding how the body worked. Except there's a part where biochemistry and biology don't explain certain things. And I felt like when I learned about NES Health and bioenergetics, that was the missing piece of the puzzle. That is the key to how a person, we go from like good health to declining health. And then what is the key to getting back? So bioenergetics and the NES Health scans show you where the breakdown is in the energy field of the body. And the energy field of the body is the grand communication system for how your cells communicate, your tissues communicate, your organs communicate. And I remember reading somewhere that we have 70 trillion cells in our body, and if they were all communicating with each other, every cell knows what it's supposed to be doing at every moment and what's going on everywhere else in the body, and so they're working as a team. So when that communication system breaks down, meaning the energy field is not functioning the way it's supposed to, it's pretty hard to get back to good health. So I had a client that came in to see me. She had been in a situation in her marriage where her husband had been extremely physically abusive. And she did what she needed to do to get out of the marriage and get away from him, and you know, she described it as fleeing to safety. But I believe that there was a lot of the trauma of the experience was still there, the unresolved emotional aspects. And so she came in, we did a scan, and what was interesting is with each scan there is a recommendation for infoceutical remedies, energetic remedies to make changes in the energy field. But there's also a miHealth device. This is a miHealth device, and there'll be recommendations for that. So I use this. What is interesting is what came up on the scan that needed to have some energy reconnection or rejuvenation with the device was the lung, the heart, and the pericardium. So I used that device on those parts of her body. So in Chinese medicine, which is what NES Health is based upon, the lung is where we hold grief. The heart is where we hold our sadness, of course, and betrayal. And the pericardium is meant to be the protector of the heart, physically in the body, but also protects the heart energetically and emotionally. So we did 2 minutes on each of those points. She went home. She did have her liquid remedies, but she hadn't taken them yet. She described it as needing to sleep for 3 hours straight, and then she woke up and cried 24 hours in bed crying. And she described it as the most beautiful emotional release that she needed badly. So I have a client who comes to see me, and he had grown up in an abusive home, and there were 7 of them. So he was not quite the oldest, the one, just below the oldest. He had an older sister. And then when he was 10 months old, the next baby's born, and then every 2 years a baby's born. So it was a home where there was physical and emotional abuse. So for my client, he was unable to feel. He didn't remember anything from his childhood, but he also was unable to feel emotions. He was not able to give or receive love. So he had his scan, and he ended up, again, I gave him some of the Infoceutical remedies. Here's an example of how they look. And he was on a business trip, and he told his wife he was feeling very sad, and he didn't know why. And this is a man that surprised him, of course, because he wasn't used to feeling that. And so I talked to his wife, and I said, no, that's good, because he's grieving from his childhood. He's lost his childhood, and feelings are coming up. He came home from his business trip and had an amazing amount of interest in everything that his wife was doing and was thinking. And he just wanted to talk to her and ask questions. But then there were like 3 nights in a row where he needed skin contact. I mean, he was really making up for having been emotionally independent since the age of 10 months old. And their marriage was forever changed after that. Just from that one scan, which is usually one scan is not giving you that trust. In this case, and it can. So in this case, it did. So I have a tip for practitioners, and what I specifically, I'll work with any clients, so I specifically love working with people with trauma. When your clients come to see you, you really need to find out what's gone on in their home growing up. Trauma can be throughout our lifetime, but often it's our childhood trauma. Finding out what the childhood home was like. Was there someone they could talk to? Did they feel seen and heard? So children really need to actually process their emotional experiences, and they need to feel safe, and a lot of that is having someone there for them. A lot of children actually will grow up where they're responsible for maintaining the emotions of the caretakers in the home. And when you talk to your clients, they underestimate the trauma of that experience. A lot of times people will say, well, it was just the way it was, and it wasn't that traumatic, and then they compare their lives to other people's lives. But in fact, for a child, that is trauma, and it forever will change. It'll affect their health. So my hope for the world is that for people who are working on their health, not to overlook the energy, and to understand that unresolved emotions, all of the stuff that came in the past, all of that's part of the energy field, and it's locked in unless you work on releasing it. And that's what it will take to get back to the health that you want and a life filled with joy and connection.